Management Concepts empowers federal leaders at every career level. Their 6 leadership programs include courses aligned to OPM ECQs and fundamental competencies. Taught by experts with federal experience, Management Concepts programs combine live instructions with experiential learning, personal assessments, coaching, and online collaboration to deliver the real-world skills you need. Over 10,000 government workers a year choose Management Concepts for their leadership development needs. Learn why at managementconcepts.com. Classes forming now.
With aerodynamic lines, a luxurious interior, and a powerful engine, what feeling do you get when driving the Jaguar F-Type? All of them. An exhilarating combination of design and performance makes the F-Type like no other sports car in the world. Learn more at JaguarUSA.com.
This is Straight Fire with Jason McIntyre.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Jason McIntyre, Straight Fire, for Thursday, July 1st. Oh, the month of July is such a great month. July 4th this weekend. Hope everybody has an amazing July 4th. I got to start with some house cleaning. First of all, major shout out for all the props on the Cuffs the Legend interview. You guys really like that guy. He doesn't hold back. I like the truth tellers. I got where I am primarily by being a truth teller. Cuffs didn't hold back. If you missed yesterday's pod, you're going to like it a lot. Check it out. And we have a special guest today, diverting briefly from the NBA. I mean, feels like we've been heavy NBA for like a month now. But you know I've declared this the summer of soccer. This weekend we have the Copa America quarters and semifinals. We have the Euro 2020 quarters and semifinals. I'm geeked for it. So we have a soccer guest. Yes, a soccer guest, Eric Wynalda. One of the, listen, he's on the short list of the greatest American soccer players in the history of U.S. soccer. Like, that's just a fact. Goal-scoring machine. He went over to Europe early in the 90s. Great storyteller. He is another guy who does not hold back. I think you'll like the interview. Take some shots everywhere. He doesn't really hold back. You're going to love Eric Wynalda. But first, we have to tear down the Phoenix Suns for going to the NBA Finals. Listen, okay? First, let's start with the props. Congratulations. Chris Paul finally breaks through, finally going to the NBA Finals. Masterful performance from CP3. 31 points in the second half of Game 6 in LA, where he was banished. The Clippers roll in Game 5. Everybody thinks Clippers have a chance. They're coming home. Clippers, I like them in Game 5. No, Suns, this was a layup, folks. Devin Booker was good, and Chris Paul was phenomenal. 31 points in the second half, and the Suns go to the finals for the first time since 1993. Someone texted me a crazy stat. This has never happened before. A team makes the finals after not making the playoffs for 10 years straight. I mean, that's phenomenal. It really is. There were some fun subplots, right? The Pat Bev dirty factor, always an issue. Patrick Beverley got ejected for it. I mean, listen, he's a problem. That's what he is. Like, he is an angry bloke. Last year, they were yucking it up, laughing in the bubble at Damian Lillard, and then they get bounced by the Denver Nuggets. And this year, guy gets tossed for basically cheap-shotting Chris Paul. I don't think Chris Paul said anything either. I've looked at the replay multiple times. It looked like maybe a smirk. Maybe he said something under his breath. At any rate, my big takeaway from the Suns going to the finals for the first time since Barkley got them there in 1993 is that the Phoenix Suns had the easiest path to the NBA Finals in the history of basketball. And that is not an exaggeration when you look at the facts. Let's just stick to the facts. First round, they're down 2-1 to the Lakers. They're in deep trouble, and Anthony Davis, a top 10 player in the league, goes down. That was a series. Suns roll. Okay? Next round, they face a busted-up Denver Nuggets team without Jamal Murray, who was their second-best player. And their starting backcourt was a couple of guys who weren't even factors in the NBA in 2019. Okay? Austin Rivers and Campazzo. Beaten up Nuggets, and Chris Paul and Suns eviscerate them, sweep them. By the way, Chris Paul was great in that closeout game. 37 points. And now they face the Paperclips in the Western Conference Finals without their best player, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, I'm not going to bring up Ibaka or Zubats, but Kawhi Leonard is a top. I mean, listen, I say he's a top 10 player. Some people would argue top 5. So just to recap the path that the Suns have to the finals, Chris Paul and Devin Booker were phenomenal. DeAndre Ayton was outstanding. They beat the Lakers, who were missing a top 10 player. They beat the Nuggets, who are missing a top 15 player. And Rob G can check me on that if he wants to try on Jamal Murray. And they beat the Clippers without a top 10 player. And again, you could argue top 5. I cannot recall an easier path. Okay, some people say, oh, the Warriors had some easy paths. That's balderdash. I just looked at the 2015 Warriors. Rob and I were chopping it up before the pod. And there were some minor injuries. Okay, Patrick Beverley, Mike Conley, who played almost the entire series but was wearing a mask. And this is nothing compared to that. We're talking about elite superstars in the NBA missing the series. And that's how the Suns are getting there. Now, history will be on Phoenix's side. All anybody cares about. Who went to the finals? Who won? Who was the MVP? Nobody cares about any of the other stuff. Yes, people will remember the 73-win Warriors did lead 3-1, and they blew it. But we're now, 4 years removed from that? 5? And it's already oh, well, I forgot. Yeah, Andrew Bogut got injured in that. He's their starting center and rim protector. And Draymond got suspended. And the Cavs ran a layup line in game 6. And then in game... Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, people forget that. Again, we're 5 years out of that. I had just moved to LA. The Warriors were the greatest show in sports. And then LeBron comes back and beats them. Of course, memorably, after the Cavs and LeBron win that title, that's when we really started hearing LeBron's going to catch Jordan. And of course, the day after that Cavs parade, Michael Jordan gave the green light for The Last Dance. And of course, we all know Michael Jordan had final say on everything in The Last Dance. It was basically a PR for Michael Jordan because he was worried about LeBron encroaching on his territory. And maybe LeBron wins one more next year. But I'm not knocking the Suns. It is, hey, you got to go through whatever path you can to get there. Okay? You run a marathon and somebody's leading the entire way, pulls up lame with a mile to go and can't finish, and you win. You win. Who cares? Oh, it's unfortunate, man. But them's the breaks. This is sports. This is what happens. The best part is the Phoenix Suns will face in the finals either a busted Hawks with a limited Trae Young, although I think there's going to be about 7 days, maybe 6, in between the end of the Eastern Conference Finals and the start of the finals. So maybe Trae is healthy, but it could be the Bucks, who are unlikely to have Giannis for Game 5. He's listed as doubtful. The MRI revealed no structural damage. But the bottom line is, Giannis ain't close to 100%. Trae Young ain't close to 100%. And the fact will remain, the Phoenix Suns will go through 4 teams, win the NBA title, the first in their franchise's history. And the best or second best player will be missing from every series. That's staggering. I mean, again, it doesn't matter. Suns fans are going to get angry at me. These are just facts. It's not a huge deal that this is the reality. These are just facts. If these facts hurt you, I'm sorry about that. But that is the reality. The Suns had the cushiest path to the finals in NBA history. And the Toronto Raptors, folks, if you remember, 2019, they take down the Warriors. Everybody already, basically forgotten that the Raptors won the title. And then it's like, oh, wait. Oh, that's right. Kevin Durant played 12 minutes. I think 14 minutes, 12 or 14 minutes in the entire series. He was the greatest player on the planet. And then Steph Curry somehow keeps them in the series. And then Klay Thompson goes down. I think was it Game 6, Rob? I think Klay tore up his knee at the end of Game 6 and the Raptors pulled it out and Drake is celebrating, blah, blah, blah. But you can't really compare it to that because they did take down Giannis the round before. They did get super lucky to beat the Sixers on the prayer of all prayers, the Kawhi Leonard corner shot. But these are the breaks. We won't do a postmortem on the Clippers today. And I don't know how you can kill them, right? What am I going to say? Kawhi Leonard was not on the floor. He's their best player. I don't even know if Kawhi all of a sudden becomes on the move this offseason. Is he going to have surgery? There's so much unknown. No Ibaka, no Zuba. You can't kill him. Paul George was terrible. Terrible, as Charles Barkley likes to say. He was awful. By the way, let's put out an APB for Terrence Mann. If you guys remember, Terrence Mann had 39 points. His career best by a mile in college or pros. In the closeout Game 6 over Utah. In the 6 games against Phoenix, Terrence Mann had a total of 50 points. In Game 6 against Utah, he made 7 threes. In the series against Phoenix, he made 5. I mean, if you're the Utah Jazz, you have to be kicking yourself. They were down Kawhi. We got Conley back, and we couldn't beat those guys? How did that happen? Terrence Mann happened. That's what, I mean, like, he becomes a footnote in history. But it's staggering. What a crazy NBA playoffs. And Rob, I know people are going to hate me for this Suns take, but again, I don't know how much of a take it is as reality.
No, I would agree. I mean, you are going to get hated on. I mean, rest in peace to your mentions later today. But you're right. I mean, I can't refute the fact that they did have a clean path to the finals and most likely to the championship. You know, that's just the way it is sometimes, though, unfortunately. I mean, I can't say the Lakers didn't get some breaks last year. Dame Lillard got hurt. Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo, hurt a little bit in the finals, and these things happen. It's rare that you get it in every round of the playoffs, though. I will say that, but you brought a good point up. I tried to push back on you before we started recording about the 2015 Warriors and how they went through the entire postseason without playing a healthy point guard or healthy starting point guard. But who talks about that now? Only me when I debate you about Steph Curry stuff.
Yeah, and again, we went through it, guys. It's like, I mean, honestly, it's Mike Conley played in the series, but he missed one game and he had like a mask on. Patrick Beverley, I think, was injured and missed the whole series, but he was like their 7th leading scorer.
But he was their defensive stopper on that, the one defensive guy they had on that team.
And in the opening round, Drew Holiday missed a game and had to come off the bench because he wasn't 100% healthy. The Pels were not taking
Tyreek Evans was their starting point guard. He was hurt, and he had to get surgery right after the series ended.
I've told the story a million times. My favorite Tyreek Evans story.
Gosh.
Before the you know the story?
I do know this story. Yeah. You've told me multiple times.
Before the Curry draft, I think it was Sacramento. Sacramento had in Tyreek and Steph Curry for a workout, and they had them play one-on-one. Okay, remember, Steph Curry, Davidson. Tyreek Evans, Memphis. Tyreek Evans was a monster. Steph Curry was a great shooter, but not a great one-on-one guy. He's frail. And they played one-on-one. I don't know why that would happen. I guess Evans was a lock to go like top 3, and Curry was like, an afterthought in the top 5. And Tyreek Evans just murdered him one-on-one. Like, Steph Curry has no chance guarding Tyreek Evans one-on-one. But, like, that just shows the stupidity of that franchise. Why have Tyreek Evans play Curry one-on-one and annihilate him and say, oh, it's our guy? Tyreek Evans goes on. I think he won Rookie of the Year and then never made an All-Star game. Curry, 2 MVPs, 3 titles, greatest shooter in NBA history. No big deal. Just a whiff. I wonder where that GM is today.
What's funny?
I think what? I think he parked my car yesterday.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm kidding. That's harsh.
But anyway. You could run that one-on-one matchup like even 5-6 years into their career, and Tyreek Evans would still win.
Probably, and it would mean nothing. Now,
it would
what
mean
if
nothing.
Luka and Trae Young played one-on-one?
Oh, Luka would kill him.
He would murder him.
He's just too big.
What's interesting is, Trae Young's been pretty friggin' awesome in these playoffs.
Right.
Do you get? I don't really think much needs to be said. We're not going to dive into Patrick Beverley versus Chris Paul. I do need to note, Rob.
Oh, Pat Bev's a clown.
Well, we know that, but Chris Paul is just such a flopper. It's so annoying. He just dusts DeMarcus Cousins, put him in a spin cycle, scored, and then he after the ball's coming through the hoop, he gets close to him to say something, and Cousins is basically like, get out of here, and Chris Paul's like, he's been shot by a sniper, and then he goes down, is holding his head, dude, come on, I know you do that, but that's such chicken shit, man. A lot of people don't like Chris Paul, and listen, I'm not gonna say I don't like the guy. I don't personally know him. I've never interviewed him, but it's crap like that. There's just come on, man. I know there's gamesmanship.
Yeah, he takes gamesmanship a little too far.
Cuffs the Legend is a big Chris Paul guy because they're from North Carolina, if you heard yesterday's pod. But, let me give some props to Jay Crowder, by the way, real quick. Jay Crowder, if you guys remember, closed out the Lakers in round 1 by going 6 for 9 from 3. If you remember, he just couldn't miss. He just went ballistic. He went 5 of 9 from 3 against the Clippers. And Jay Crowder now owns LA. He owns Los Angeles. Jay Crowder is going to be an NBA champion. And that's kind of cool because Jay Crowder's put in the work. Really fought for everything in his career. And I'm just super proud of Jay Crowder. I was impressive. Any final thoughts on the paper clips? Does Kawhi consider opting out?
Oh, I'm definitely positive he's going to opt out. I just don't know if he's going to leave. I don't think he's going to leave. I think... financial, it makes sense for him to opt out. Yeah. I should have rephrased that. Do you think Kawhi Leonard entertains other offers to leave? No, because I don't think anybody has cap space that will be worth going to. I think that he's definitely a West Coast Knicks guy. No, I don't see him going to New York. I think that he likes the control and the power that he has in Los Angeles. The fact that he only was on the sideline once this entire series, and that was last night in Game 6 when they got smashed by 30 points, says a lot. If the Clippers do make changes, I think it's going to be centered around Paul George, not Kawhi.
Interesting, because I'll just say this. They had their full team against the Mavs and Luka, and for the second year in a row struggled. Nearly lost that series to Dallas. They were down 0-2 and 3-2. Kawhi bailed them out in Game 6. He went ballistic. And then with Kawhi, again, struggled mightily against Utah. Let's stop acting like this team is some kind of juggernaut. They're just not that great of a team. They're really, really good, but the Nets are better. A healthy Lakers team is good. Is it better? The Nuggets will be healthy by the All-Star break when Jamal Murray's back. They are better. Yes, the Nuggets are better than these paper clips. And if Luka gets some help, the Mavs might be better. So, folks, I don't know that the Clippers can, this same incarnation, I don't see how they can go into next season as even a top 4 team in the league.
Wow.
Brooklyn, Lakers, and Nuggets are for sure 3. And Rob, Phoenix Suns. Well, this Phoenix Suns team is really good. Now, they're not going to have the animal spirit to come after it next year after they win the title, but I don't know about the Clips, man.
Well, they also may not have the animal spirit to attack the best player on every team before they play them as well.
Also true. And it's so funny that the Suns are going to win the title, Rob, and they were probably on their way out in the first round.
They were done.
The Lakers.
They were done. I don't like talking about it because I don't want to sound like a bitter Lakers fan, but it was a wrap. The LeBron, Andre Drummond were clowning them.
Yeah.
In Game 3 because they knew what was coming. They're like, it's over. And then pop a groin.
And Suns fans can put up the good fight and say, oh, well, that's fine. But just know that y'all were going to get bounced by the Lakers. That's the reality. I know, in hindsight, who cares? You can wear your Suns or champions gear and all that fun stuff. Enjoy the finals when you're facing the Hawks or Bucks. And we're going to have to start talking football next week, Rob. I think that's where we're headed. All right. Without further ado, let's move on from the NBA blowout and get to our summer of soccer. And here's an interview with Eric Winalda.
It's crazy how much we have to pay for outdated, impersonal healthcare, and even crazier that we all just accept it. It's time to face facts. Healthcare is backwards. Luckily, there's Forward, a new approach to primary care that's surprisingly personal and refreshingly straightforward. Forward never makes you feel like just another patient. Backed by top-rated doctors and the latest tech, Forward gives you access to personalized care whenever you need it. Using in-depth genetic analysis and real-time blood work, Forward's top-rated doctors provide you with in-depth insights to better understand your genetics, mental, and physical health. They then create custom, easy-to-understand plans to help guide you to achieving long-term health. With Forward, you get unlimited in-person visits with your doctor and access to care anytime via the Forward app, all for one flat monthly fee. It's time to stop accepting backwards healthcare and start moving your health forward. Visit GoForward.com today to learn more. That's GoForward.com.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You know a guy.
Jason likes to think he knows everything when it comes to sports.
I know what sports fans want.
But for everything he doesn't, he knows a guy who does.
Let's just say I know a guy who knows a guy who knows another guy.
All right, let's welcome into Straight Fire a guy who's one of the best players in the history of U.S. soccer. I knew him at Fox. He's just an awesome guy to talk about soccer with. Supremely confident in everything. One of the first Americans to play soccer in Europe. Eric Winalda. Eric, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's great to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already been over this, but it's been a while. But everything's good. You know, just try. We've survived the last year and a half. I think things are getting back to normal. It's great to see sports again, live sports, especially with everything that's going on with soccer. It's a very interesting time, but it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm calling this the summer of soccer because, it's returning in full force. The Euros are happening. Copa America, Gold Cup is coming up. Of course, the World Cup is on the horizon. It just feels like soccer is having, I don't want to say a reintroduction, but the last year and a half, like you said, was just crap for sports, from the NBA bubble to NFL limited fans. And soccer's now, the stadiums are packed, and watching that England game this week, just an unbelievable scene at Wembley. I'm just curious, did you watch the game? What were your thoughts? And just the state of Euro as we head into the summer of soccer?
Well, we didn't think the day before yesterday could get outdone, and then but I thought that was a special game for England. Just the pageantry of all of it. You got Ed Sheeran watching the game with Beckham. You got royalty there, and it really just was a perfect storm for England. And now everyone's saying, "Oh, the cup's coming home." That's got to stop. Somebody's got to shut that down. But it's cool because look, what we've seen in this tournament already. Is just the highs and lows of the way it can be for certain teams that we expected to go further in the competition. Mbappe missing the penalty kick. We were all expecting this to be a German, France final, and I think it's cool that Swiss is in there. I think it's awesome that yesterday with Ukraine. That's why you play the games. Of course the Denmark story. Everyone rallying around Eriksson. So it's been. What's really unfortunate, I guess, if I'm really being honest, is Eriksson's condition and the whole focus of, oh my God, non-soccer people saying, oh my God, a soccer player has just collapsed on the field and almost died. And as tragic as that was, brought so much attention to this competition that maybe more so than under normal circumstances. And those are, of course, horrific circumstances. But people that were calling me and asking me, like, are you watching this? There's a guy dying on the field. Those are non-soccer people. And what ended up happening is the tournament delivered on so many different levels that non-soccer people got a taste of what European soccer is all about. So, if there's a silver lining in that, that would be it. A lot of people who normally don't watch soccer have been paying attention this summer.
Yeah, it's a great point. We'll get to the U.S. team and all that fun stuff in a little bit, but I want to stick with the Euros because we saw Ronaldo lose. He's out. Messi's putting on a show in Copa America, but this new blood that you kind of referenced here. I mean, Ukraine. I don't personally know too much about Denmark, even Switzerland to an extent. I'm not that familiar with. I'm more of like a national team guy as opposed to a club, although I'm getting more into club soccer now. I don't know, just your thoughts on how this is propelling the sport, kind of this new blood, England pushing through. I like this Belgium team a lot, but everybody knows them.
Right. Belgium is what Martinez is doing over there. They just have so many weapons. I don't know what the status of De Bruyne's ankle is right now. I didn't like that tackle. That's actually exactly how I broke my leg in Germany. So I kind of cringed when I watched that. But look, if you look at a team like Ukraine, for example, Yarmolenko, or just the players that are scattered within each club, or each country. So you're kind of reminded that, oh yeah, that guy's Swiss. I forgot, actually they do have a very good team. And that guy scored a lot of goals this year. And Xhaka really is as bad as people think he is when he plays for Arsenal. So there's so many little layers to that you get reminded of where all these guys actually play, where their countries, where they're from. And that always makes the tournament interesting. But I think again, I thought that the England performance, if you look at the first couple of games and all the heat that Sterling was taking prior to this competition, and he's just handled it with grace. Thank God he hasn't, blasted anybody on Twitter or responded to Pierce Morgan or done something stupid. But it's been great to see a real an England that had a plan. They didn't deliver against Scotland. Clearly, it's a boring game, but Scotland had the number on the day. But for the most part, that's what this tournament is about, to take care of business when you play against the likes of Germany, which they've never been able to do before. And by the way, did you see Yogi Löw pick his nose again?
I did. Yeah, that's his thing, man. It's
where do we go from that? I mean, we all saw what happened, that viral thing the last time, and he decided to go into his pants and then
just disgusting. Yeah.
Weird. It's I can't get a job as a coach, and that guy's out there running one of the big world, and he's a butt sniffer. I don't know. Well,
a couple openings now. Netherlands, I think, has an opening.
That shouldn't surprise anybody, but that was unfortunate. I think the red card.
Yeah.
It's a bad play, and De Boer is going to end up, really taking the brunt of a lot of criticism for that. But he really has not had a successful run in anywhere he's been as a manager, whether that be Crystal Palace or even Atlanta. You could say that wasn't a very successful stint, but Jose Mourinho called him the worst manager in the history. But he kept landing, on his feet. But I think this is it. Even though the team was really performing well, and they really looked the part, I don't know if De Boer ends up having a job in the near future. Maybe it's middle tier Holland. Maybe that's where he needs to go. But that was unfortunate, because I think that guy's really just had a bad run. But like you said, the drama is always going to be there. Coaches are going to lose their job over some of these performances. But again, I'm still happy with the tournament. The tournament is delivering. There's a lot of great storylines for all of us to pay attention to. So it's been fun.
I've been playing a lot of FIFA with my kids recently, and Man City is stacked on FIFA. Right, I think 2020. And then you look at the Euros, and everybody who's dominating plays for Man City.
You're right.
Are they? Again, I'm ignorant on this question. Are they the greatest club team in Europe right now?
Well, I think. Well, look, when you watch the history of Pep, let's just go through that, okay? And I was very fortunate because I was working for Fox at the time. So I got to experience Pep at Barcelona, Pep at Bayern, and Pep at Man City. So, and what I will tell you is nothing changes with that man. Nothing. I mean, we were very fortunate. We had meetings with all the coaches. We had Klopp or Ancelotti or all these guys. And Pep was the guy that was like, no, you have to do this and this and this. And he's moving stuff around the table, and he's just in energy. He's crazy. But there is a contagious energy about Pep and what it does to players. And I think if you look at someone like Gundogan, who's to me was fantastic in Dortmund, and he's always been a good national team player, but he really found a home with a school of thought. So if you watch the way they play collectively as a club, they're going to be far better than what you see them for country. And that's, even though those guys are all performing, what Pep does and what Pep was able to do in Bayern, for example. I mean, I'm a purist, so I played in the Bundesliga, and I'm watching this happen. And one of the things that we've always celebrated about Bayern was it was a very German team. it always had 6, 7 internationals. He changed that up completely. There was one game, I think about 6 years ago, where there was not one German player on the field for Bayern, and Pep was in charge. And that was something that kind of rubbed me wrong at the time. But watching the way his teams perform, it really, there is something to be said about his methodology and the way that he trains and the way that he believes in his players and the way that he scolds them when they act up. But he is still, to me, one of the greater managers, because he's almost changed the game. He took what Cruyff started and kind of mutated it into his own school of thought that is, when you watch it and you talk to him, or you really understand what they're trying to accomplish, and then they do it. Not a lot of coaches can teach like that.
Yeah, the method to his madness. Now, you were one of, I don't know if you were the pioneer, the first American to play in Europe. I was able to find that you were one of the first. Hopefully you can clarify that. But how much do you think has changed now? Is the perception of American players, they can't compete here? It's kind of changed, right? I mean, I would say at this point.
It's completely changed. I mean, I in 1992, that's how far back this goes.
Wow.
I was the first American-born player to play in the Bundesliga. So upon arrival, even then, the coach, Peter Neurer, who hired me in the first place, literally pulled me aside and said, "Hey, don't tell people you're American. Tell them that you're Dutch. But don't tell them you're American, because they won't believe it." So the perception back then, and that was it was really hard back then. In 92, it was before the Bosnian ruling that came in 95-6, which meant that there was only 3 foreigners allowed on each team. That's it. That's all. So it isn't like if you're a part of the European community, you don't count on the foreigner scale. So I was there with the Yuri Savicev and Stratos. So I had a Greek guy and a Russian guy and me. And there was only 3 of us. The rest of the team was completely German. And that's the way that they used to do things. Nowadays, let's face it, man. We got players on Man City, Barcelona, Chelsea, Dortmund, Leipzig, Juventus. We have a team of youngsters, if you're going to call them that, and we're going to say, oh, they're inexperienced. Don't fall for that. These guys are experienced. They've already proven that with this tournament that they just won. But because they're playing at the highest level. They're playing and I'm forgetting Weah. Weah just won the French league. So our guys are already in the biggest clubs because of all the work of the Clint Dempseys of the world and the Brad Friedels and the Casey Kellers and the Claudio Reynas and all those guys or the Brian McBrides who came before. That it was always the scenario of, okay, you're good enough to play in Europe, but you're not top tier.
Yeah, you're not in the top tier team.
Never
starting. Yeah.
But now, when Christian Pulisic wins the Champions League and he plays a part in it, especially the game prior to getting him to the final, it's a different perception, because the perception used to be that Americans can't do it, and now Weston McKennie and Pulisic are proving everybody wrong. That hey, you know what? There's more to this American thing. It's not about because they're American, they can't do it. It's, hey, they're American. Let's tap into that. So what we've seen as a trend over the last 4 to 5 years is an extreme effort to try and tap into American talent. And, Schalke is doing a great job with that. Weston McKennie was a part of that movement. Unfortunately, they went down, but they're still really kind of rolling their sleeves up and saying, okay, instead of trying to stay within our bubble here and figure out who our team's going to be, and then most teams would rely on Africa, because they would just go find African talent and hope that those kids or players can acclimate to the weather changes and all that stuff. Go find the Americans who might have a passport that would allow them to not count as a foreigner. Let's see how that works out. And I'll tell you what, we've been the beneficiary of their work by our team coming together in a great way and being able to compete. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, the perception is totally different. Americans are a commodity. Yeah. They're not what would you call them? I don't know what the right word is, but if as far as when we look at American players, we say, okay, that's a guy that can help us. not that's a guy that might hurt us. It doesn't happen anymore. So.
And it's weird because, the perception when the U.S. missed the World Cup was, soccer's never going to catch on here. There's just not any good players. And it's, I don't know, Eric, it's almost like you had to go to that bottom. You had to hit rock bottom, right?
Well, listen, I mean, not making the Olympics was to me.
Also, yep.
Everybody's talking about how great we're doing with the development of our players in MLS. Look, I'm going to be the only one who can say this. And I can say this now that I'm not attached to ESPN or Fox or a network. You cannot give Thierry Henry, Pirlo, Steven Gerrard, Beckham, Lampard. The list goes on and on. You can't give Rooney. You can't give these guys $6-7 million a year. Just basically throw $170 million into the fire and say that you're working on the development of American players. You want to know why we didn't qualify? Blame those guys. We were preventing the opportunity for 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old players to play in Major League Soccer, and they had to sit and watch somebody, limp around. And that's why we didn't qualify for the Olympics. That's why we didn't qualify for the World Cup. But now that we look at where our team is, all the success we're having are the guys that went over there and are getting real experience. And they don't have somebody saying, oh, no, Thierry Henry sells jerseys, so you're going to have to sit this one out to an 18-year-old kid who might be a player. And then after a year, what I find really ironic is that they call this new thing MLS Next. That's what it's been. You wait till they're 20 years old. They go, okay, next, let's go get the other one and ruin that one. So that's not that. You cannot sit here and celebrate Major League Soccer's inclusion into this when they've done what they've done.
You've been on both sides, right, Eric? The business side, right, and the developmental side. And, you can understand the business side. Hey, man, if we bring in Henry, we're going to sell jerseys. We're going to sell out stadiums or put them on TV deals, blah, blah, blah. The business side says we want more. But the developmental side is hurting, and that's where the Olympics comes in. How do you think the league can balance it?
I won't say his name, but he's a left winger. And he's currently, and he's very good. I've flown all the way out to Florida to watch him play.
How old is this guy?
This kid's 19.
Okay.
And he is sitting there watching Nani play. But he doesn't get to play because Nani's playing. Now, you want to really dig in and you want to say, okay, why didn't the U.S. qualify for a World Cup? Well, how about all the players that we, through our league, Costa Rica, Honduras, all these teams have gotten so much better because they're playing in our league. And now, and not that they're taking jobs from Americans, I'm not going that route, but you could see Costa Rica getting better because they have a better league to play in. So good, there's benefits to this when you look at Major League Soccer and how far it's come. I'm not completely bashing it. What I'm saying is you can't say it's all about development if you're giving all the money to a bunch of old guys. You can't do that.
So how do you strike that balance? You did run for president of U.S. Soccer. I think you might have made a great president. But how do you strike that balance with keeping the fat cats, the billionaires, multimillionaires, happy while promoting the young guys? Like how I don't know how you strike that balance. It's difficult.
It's not actually. If you look at the whole thing, right? And you say, all right, what is Major League Soccer? How far it has come? Did we need maybe big names to really like a Kaká? You're never going to have me say anything bad about that guy. I love that guy, and he did great things in Orlando. So the fine balance is you get the right guys that are actually going to be a part of their community and to be a part of the fabric of that club. That's not easy to do. But what happens when you're in a franchise system is everybody wants one, right? And it's always the same story. It's like, okay, is Messi or Ronaldo going to come to America?
Oh, jeez.
Is Messi or Ronaldo? And then here's what happens. Well, there's three options: Miami, New York, or LA. That's it. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not going to Kansas City. So you got Kansas City and Columbus and Minnesota all say, well, hold on, what about us? So there's that it's the same thing as the NFL. It is the NFL model. When you got Jerry Jones down there saying, well, my franchise is worth this, number of billions of dollars. there has to be a profit share somewhere in there to take care of Cleveland. So it's the same kind of model that will always be celebrated in this country. Whether being the president of U.S. Soccer and some of the ideas that I had as far as changing the schedule and figuring out ways to get our players in a better platform to figure out how to do the real business of football, soccer, and we've never done that. We've always figured out ways to move our players in a winter window when they were maybe, a quarter on the dollar. You're not going to get full value for those guys. And, there was opportunities in the past, not just the Clint Dempseys of the world, but several of our players could have gone to Europe for big numbers.
Yeah.
But then you had a marketing machine say, or a coach and a GM say, I can't lose my best player in July. I still have 6 games on the schedule. How do I replace him? The only way you do that is you change the schedule to allow that window to be there. So now you don't have a bunch of people, freaking out every time that they get to do the business. They have an adequate time to recover. So it's a weird thing. It's America. It's not changing anytime soon.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a soap opera star.
Gracious me, my car has storm damage and I've had to file a claim. Could it possibly get worse? Will my claims team leave me for someone else? Someone less intense?
No. Actually, when you file a claim with Geico, you get your own dedicated claims team who promises to stay with you throughout the process.
Oh, I've never known such loyalty. I can't wait for the second season.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir?
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Fox Sports Radio has the best sports talk lineup in the nation. Catch all of our shows at foxsportsradio.com. And within the iHeartRadio app, search FSR to listen live.
Eric, while we're on U.S. soccer, realistic ceiling for the U.S. at the next World Cup? What realistic? Like, I know we didn't qualify last time, but
it's different.
We got this golden generation allegedly coming up. What do you think? Semifinals?
Semifinals, yeah. We said at the same time. I think that's, I think when you get to the quarterfinal, you go back to the 2002 World Cup. A lot of people will go back to that and say that was maybe our best performance. It really wasn't. It wasn't. We should have got knocked out of the competition when we lost to Poland 3-1, and we kind of backed into the next round, and we got the one team that we knew we could beat in Mexico. So, and if Torsten Frings gets called for a handball and a red card, who knows what happens? Maybe we are playing against South Korea to have an opportunity to get into a World Cup final. But all that being said, I think this group in every position outside of left back, which has been our problem forever, they are ready. And it's interesting. I think that when you talk about qualification, or you talk about CONCACAF, or you talk about how difficult that can be, I sent a message to Greg Berhalter right in the middle of the tournament that said, now I know your team's going to qualify. And he said, why? And I said, watch the 26th minute against Honduras, when Zach Steffen comes out and completely misjudges a cross. Ball gets saved off the line by Sargent. Ewell makes a great tackle, a brave tackle, to keep the ball, get the ball out of a dangerous area. And then, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the player, but he takes a dive because Weston McKennie comes into the play late, but then he's been in Italy. So the guy knows how to defend now. Guy going away from the goal, there's no reason to touch him. He goes like this. The guy goes down. The guy who had the best view of it was Gio Reyna, who goes over there, gets in his ear and tells him, get up, you SOB. That was not a foul, basically. He suddenly isn't hurt anymore. So now he's up and he's got an attitude, and in comes John Brooks. And Brooksy just basically handles it. And for me, as a guy that went through the qualification process, who understands how difficult these games can be, knows what Honduras is and how difficult that can be as well. You understand that these games are going to be ugly, but you've got to stick together. And in those 25 seconds, that team proved to me that they have the fabric to do that. So a lot of people are going after Greg Berhalter right now and saying this and that, and maybe tactically. He proved that he is a tactician in the game against Mexico in the final. He did. But more important was the 60, 70-yard run that Weston McKennie made just to come hug his coach. That's when I knew we got something.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other side of this because I've spoken to Greg on numerous occasions about building a culture within the U.S. national team, because everyone's criticized these guys. They don't have enough fight. They don't have enough bite. There's all these things to say about the old guard and the teams that I was a part of, that we had to go out there and literally start a fist fight. That fabric is still there in this group, and now they're uber talented. So in every position, and to me, I feel like if we're ever going to get behind our country, now is the time. I know, I get it. I know we just went through the Olympics, didn't qualify, and the last World Cup. But this group is special, and they have created a culture, in my opinion, through their coach, that will equate to great things. So I have very high expectations.
I'm sure that's going to get a lot of people very excited. I am also curious, MLS has taken its lumps. It's still only been around for like 25 years. It's still in its infancy compared to Major League Baseball, the NFL, NBA, all that. But there has been a lot of talk recently about the MLS joining forces with Liga MX and joining like a super North American league to rival what's happening over in Europe and form like a really strong league here. I don't know. Have you given much thought to that? Where are you? What have you heard? Where are you on that?
So I know that this has been entertained with Belgium and Holland. I think they're trying to do something very similar. But I think with the Super League idea came out, and this was something that was driven by American ownership. I mean, that let's face it, whether that be Liverpool, Arsenal, some of the ownership groups that were involved in that Super League idea. That I think maybe we would be having a real conversation about Mexico and America joining forces and having a league, if that would have worked. But it was such an epic fail that I just don't think. I think they'll do what they always do. They'll say, "Well, that didn't work. Let's wait 10 more years and we'll try again." And that's probably their thought process. I would totally and completely disagree with it. I would want Major League Soccer to stay within their own borders, outside of our friends to the north, Montreal and Vancouver and Toronto. But I think that this league has a history, and you could say 25 years. But look at the Earthquakes, for example. They tried to rebrand. They became the Clash, was something I was a part of. But if you go to the stadium now, right, and you go get a hot dog or you go get a beer and you look around, you're going to find a couple of people that will still call this their club since the 80s and the 70s. Back when George Best played at Spartan Stadium, that's how far this goes back. So just because collectively it looks like it's only been organized for 25 years, Vancouver and Seattle, okay, those have always been Portland. It's called Soccer City, USA for a reason. It's been around for a long, long time. And just because the Cosmos failed doesn't mean that NYCFC is going to fail, or Red Bull has done their thing, but it's still there. Soccer fans never went away. They just needed something to gravitate to, and Major League Soccer has delivered on that.
With the country getting increasingly brown, the population much more mixed than it was, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, it feels like there are actually big eyeballs on Liga MX. When you look at the Univision numbers, 3 million watched the Liga MX championship, and we got the NHL finals happening now. And I know the methodology for registering the ratings is a little antiquated, but they're getting like 1.2 million people watching NHL finals. The Stanley Cup versus Liga MX, and it's being dwarfed. I don't know. Are you sure business-wise MLS couldn't benefit from that boost of adding teams from south of the border?
I'd rather see us earn it on our own. I mean, that's. And look, I'm in Las Vegas, right? I've been living here for a couple years now, and I can tell you without hesitation that soccer is thriving here. And one of the great benefits, my son's 12, and when we got here, we didn't know what team to join, and we didn't know where to go. I had a couple of friends that said there's a couple of good clubs, this, that, and the other. But not until my son played in the Mexican leagues on Friday night did he get a real taste of what soccer is. And it was probably one of the coolest experiences that he could go through. Now, when you really try to figure out what people are watching and, the diversity of this town, for example, and how Hispanic it is in soccer terms, what are they watching and what do they care about? I mean, when we did the test, I guess you would say a couple years back with, I guess it was, who came here? It was Cruz Azul played against, it might've been Monterrey. I can't remember anymore, but they did that game all, out at the Silver Bowl, right? And everybody was a walk up. It was well, of course it was a predominantly Hispanic crowd, but man, we didn't, if they had 150,000 seats, we wouldn't have been able to get them all in. Look at what's happening now with the Gold Cup final. That thing sold out in 81 minutes, and that's in Las Vegas. And people are saying, "Well, why is that?" And look, this town alone in Las Vegas has more talent than I would argue than LA, and that's people would say, "Well, you're crazy." And I would say, "No, Vegas is just more organized, and it's because of the Hispanics. It really is." Now, let's go back in time. When I was 8 years old, man, I got up and I watched Channel 6 on a Sunday, Carta Blanca and all that stuff. And I watched the Mexican League. Nothing has changed. People that want to watch good football will find it.
Yeah.
Now, what the challenge for Major League Soccer is, because you got to compete with that, just make the soccer better, man. Make the soccer better. Our fans in this country have grown up a lot, and they know what they're seeing now. You can't fool them. You can't roll out, Pirlo at the end of and say, well, he made 5 good passes. Yeah, he walked around the rest of the time. So and those fans see that. So what they would rather see is good football, and they'd rather see young, vibrant players. I don't care where they come from. And I don't, if they're from Central America or South America or they're American or Canadian, it doesn't matter. What it matters is that the level goes up because our fans and our spectators, they now know what they're looking at, and you can't fool them.
All right, Eric will wrap up with Copa America. Messi, of course, looking to exercise demons, has never won Copa with Argentina. Argentina would possibly face Brazil in the finals. Any thoughts on Messi, Copa, all that fun stuff?
Well, I watched a little bit of it. I haven't been able to, I do have 6 kids, so my life's a little.
That's right. Yeah.
It gets a little nutty around here. I try to catch as much as I can. I think Messi is just a freak of nature. He and Ronaldo both, but I think he'll last even 2-3 more years. He's not is he going to be at the level that we saw him maybe 5 years ago? No. But if you remember when Maradona got up there in 1990, he could not run past anybody. But if the pass that he made to Caniggia with his right foot, when he realized he couldn't get through all that, still that was Maradona, and there was pieces that we got to see in the game against Nigeria where in little tight spaces, he's going to wrong foot you and put it in the top corner and then run right into the camera. That's what we'll probably see at the end of Messi's career.
Right.
He just needs good pieces around him, really good pieces around him, and you will still get something out of him. But I love watching him play. I always have. I got in trouble. I'll leave you with this, but I remember I got in trouble at Fox because we did a whole panel, right? We had Warren Barton and Brian McBride and Stu Holden, and we were all trying to give our thoughts on how do you defend Messi. Now, of course, I'm at the end of that table. So it was like, good idea. Okay, I get it. And Rob Stone looks at me and says, Eric, what do you got? And I said, well, here's all I got. Have you ever tried to kill an ant with the point of a pencil? And everybody went, what are you talking about? Have you ever tried to kill an ant with the point of a pencil? two things happen. The ant starts moving faster and you end up with a broken pencil. That's what it's like to defend Messi. Now, the hard part for me was this was a taped deal. We had to do it completely all over again because apparently, according to the producers, I was violating animal rights.
Oh, get out. Eric getting in trouble on TV.
We can't say that because somebody out there is going to be worried about an ant. And I went, wow. And then we had to do the whole thing all over again. But that's, to me, I think when Messi was at his height, and he had Xavi and Iniesta, Pedro, Busquets, and David Villa around him. That was something that we will never see again. And of course, Dani Alves, who was, believe it or not, I think when you look at all the assists in that group, Dani Alves had more than anybody. It was like 38 or 39% of Messi's goals were on assists from Dani Alves. So people wouldn't think about that, but that team was special. But what happens to Messi? Let's just enjoy it as long as we can. He's the greatest player that's ever lived.
All right. He is Eric Winalda. Eric, thanks a lot for your time, man. Enjoy the summer of soccer, and we'll hope to have you back.
Anytime, my man.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Don't think that you know everything about your child because there's something that they're not telling you. If I knew that this was going on, I would have went out there and brought my child back home.
When Africa Hardy died in 2014, it seemed completely random, but it wasn't. It was part of a pattern. This is Algorithm, a podcast investigating a modern serial killer and how he could have been stopped. Listen to Algorithm now on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.